Happy Thursday. Feliz Quinta-feira. Hey, y'all. How you doing? How you doing? It is Thursday. I am here. I'm on time. I was like, today I'm going to be on time because I have been adjusting to things. So before I get into the things that I'm adjusting, and I say hello. For those of you who do not know me, because I know there's some new faces, we've crossed over to the 6,000 plus subscribers. So uh, on my way to 10. So I'm Krishan Wright. I'm the founder of Blaxit Global. I'm also the host of the Blaxit Global podcast, which is coming back next year. Um, I run Blaxit Global Passport, our private community. And so if you are a Black person and you're looking to move abroad, I'm your girl. Yay. Um, we have an awesome community. Our tribe is growing. We just had our accountability group on Sunday, and there were so many fantastic updates. We had several members that got residency in Mexico. One in particular got residency in Colombia. Some people are in the final stages of their process for moving to Portugal. So this year in particular, there's like a big swoosh. So I'm delighted as somebody who has been doing this work. Next year makes 5 years, and who has been living the free life for now over a year. So happy on so many levels. So let's say hi and see who was first in the chat. It was Winnie B. Hey, Winnie B, how you be? Hey, look, it's my study buddy, Marguerite. Hey, Bajan Alpha 4 in the house. How you doing? I know some of you are trailing in from Our Black Utopia. I was tuning in myself, and then I was like, hey, I got to get ready for my show. So we'll be saying hi to y'all as y'all trickle in. Hey, Jamada. Hey. Hey, K Renee. Yeah, so we had a wonderful accountability group. So every month, I lead our accountability group. We check in Black's the Global Passport and give our updates. It's like almost like, I guess, like a group session, right? Like group coaching. So asking people where they are in the process, they set a goal for the next month. Sometimes I give a little gentle nudge or things that they should consider. But like I said, we've had some fabulous updates this year. And it also led me to tonight's topic. But before I get into that, I like to talk about announcements. So I was saying earlier that one of the things that I've been adjusting to this past week. So I started Portuguese class last week. So I've been doing Portuguese online really since I decided to move to Portugal. In 2022, I use Portuguese with Carla. You should be able to find a link in the description of this video. In any event, but the government has this program, among other programs that they're out there, different providers, but this one in particular, it's 150 hours. But at the conclusion of it, right, once you finish and pass the test, it's not just completing the course, I still have to pass. You get a certificate. And then when I pursue citizenship, which is my intention, I don't have to take the test to demonstrate my proficiency. So it's been important for me to want to do this now for a couple of reasons. One is the weather is starting to get a little cool, so it's okay with me like devoting time to this. But legit, it's 4 days a week, 2.5 hours a day. And your girl's feeling it. I'm like, whew. The last time I've been in somebody's class in a meaningful way, I thought about it. I was like, it's been 14 years. So, I mean, I graduated with my master's. Let me see. Ooh, okay. I graduated college in 96. I graduated with my master's in 2000. And then I went to law school for a hot minute. Note to self, don't go to law school when you're simultaneously getting a divorce. Makes it a little complicated. So, nevertheless, that was the last time that I was in a classroom in a meaningful way. And now, being an adult learner and learning a new language, like I said, I mean, my Portuguese is transactional, but prepositions, infinitives, all of that. I was an English major, but again, that was a long time ago. And now a language, I'm just like, ooh. So it's just not saying bom dia. Obrigada. I can't get by with that anymore. Oh, okay. I've got to conjugate. I've got to conjugate. Você and noosh, and then the sounds that make different sounds that my mouth makes. Baby. So I'm giving myself grace, giving myself time for my body to adjust because it is. It's like, and it's from 4 to 6:30 every day. So I'm also learning that I think I work best in the early daytime. So if I decide to pursue, the next one would be B1 and B2. I'm not 100% sure if I will, but if I do, I will only sign up for a class that's 2 days a week, because just the time commitment. And like I said, I like to be in these streets, so who knows what I'm going to do for the next one. Mm. All right, so I'm going to say some more hellos to y'all. Hey, hey, hey. Aw, thank you. I thought it was a good accountability session too. We had a lot of fun. Winnie B, hey, BJ's in the house. So we had K Michelle, K Renee. Now we have R Michelle. Pisces Pret is in the house. Hey Teresa. Hey, hey, hey. Yeah, I know some of y'all are trailing in over from our friends at Our Black Utopia. Hey Pinky. Hey Greta. And speaking of our friends, Our Black Utopia. So yesterday was our friend Rick's birthday, but also myself and Our Black Utopia are joining forces once again to host the Move to Portugal Virtual Summit. So if this is the first time you're hearing it, I hope it's not. But nevertheless, the Move to Portugal Virtual Summit takes place online November 1st through the 3rd. Again, online. You'll have a team of experts talking about immigration, an actual lawyer, healthcare, buying property in Portugal, finding property to rent in Portugal, people who have children who are looking for schools, a lot of changes because there were a lot of changes that are afoot or have already taken place that you'll need to know if your plan is to move here in the next 6 months to a year. You might want to buy a ticket. So if you are considering that, don't wait. Don't wait because I can't say that the price is going to stay the price. So take advantage of that. I'll drop a link in the description, or no, the link is already in the description. I'll drop this in the chat. And speaking of moving abroad, I wouldn't be who I am if I wasn't also spreading the love and the good cheer at our friends' Exodus Summit. So Stephanie and Rashida are in their 5th year of Exodus Summit. So if you are a Black woman and you are looking to speed up your move abroad process, there you go. I encourage you to buy a ticket to Exodus Summit. It is so much fun to be in sisterhood with these wonderful women who are making their move abroad plans, their sabbaticals, their gap years. You know, I love seeing the energy that comes from the ladies when they have their aha moments. It is a beautiful thing and a joy to watch. So, if you have been sitting on the fence, wondering if this life is for you, I can tell you firsthand, yes, this life is for you. and be surrounded by the people who are doing the very thing that you want to do. So, hey, Yakota's in the house. How are you? Hey, Greta Cobb. Look, I got both Gretas tonight. Hey, how you doing, Tanya? Locating Cozy. We have a channel member in the house. Hey, how you doing? Locating Cozy. Let's see, what did BJ say? Big brain. Yeah, I am. I do like languages though. Like I've dabbled with them in my life, but this is the first time like, you know, I'm like, oof. Conjugation. Yes, accountability group was so good. I think did I don't even remember all the stuff I've been doing in the group, posting the past a little bit because we take not a break during the summer, but a little lighter on the content during the summer because um just because people are, going on trips and stuff. And then we get back into the heavy like programming and workshops and stuff. So you'll be seeing more of that. Those of you who are in Passport. Hey, Helen, how you doing? Hey. So there was something else I wanted to, oh, yes. Because I saw a couple messages come through. Several of you have asked about the Scout House. So, for those of you who do not know, I hosted a Scout House this summer in August for people who were interested in scouting Portugal with me as their fairy scout mother. And so, we are coming back with Nomad Noir 2025. We're going to have a spring and a fall cohort. I am not releasing the exact dates just yet, but there will be two. There'll be a spring and a fall cohort. So many of you have been adding yourself to the wait list because you will get that information first. But what we're going to do is we're going to have an informational. It's going to take place next Wednesday. So those of you who are on the wait list will get the invite. I'm not dropping the link to register for that here. If you're in Black's Global Passport, yes, you already have that. But other than that, oh yeah, and our channel members, of course. But other than that, you got to join the wait list, right? So we're going to have an informational about an hour, go over, what to expect, who's it's right for, all those things. So looking forward for those of you who are interested in moving to Portugal and you want me to be the hostess with the mostest, come on through. Hey, Christina, how you doing? And Geraldine, hey. All right, let's get into it. So it's so funny that I had this list because let me tell you, every week I was just having a conversation with my mom as I was waiting for the bus on my way back from school. It's so funny for me to say that on my way back from school. Anyway, so I was telling her, I said, man, because she was talking about the Eric Adams indictment and all the other shenanigans that are taking place over there. And I was like, yeah, that's one thing I'm pretty certain is America is always going to be America. And I said, well, it's a lot easier to manage like the foolery, like the shenanigans from being across on the other side of the ocean, the Atlantic. And so it had me thinking that, one of the things that we've been talking about in group is, and really on this channel, is having a clear plan and executing your plan, not just being reactive, right? And so it was so funny that, like, maybe an hour or two before I went live, I saw this article from Forbes. Let me see if I can put it. Let me see. I'll do two things. I'll put it in the chat and let's see. I will. Yeah, let's see if I can try to put it up on the split screen. How about that? Let's see what we can do here, y'all. Okay, so the article is entitled 5 Places to Move. let's see, 5 places to move if you don't like the election results. Great SEO, by the way. But it's like, oh, this is so perfect because my talk today is about not following the herd, right? It's like, so when these type of articles come out, like, oh, where are people moving to if the election doesn't go their way? Where are the Black people moving to? Like all of these things, like they'll have these articles. Where are Black Americans moving to if it's a Trump election? Where are people moving if it doesn't go their way? Like if it's not Harris, if it's not Trump, it's very interesting. But like I said, there's a contingent of people that are highly reactive. And in doing so, you can move abroad purely on where other people are going, and you become less clear about why you're moving abroad. And so I wanted to give you some things to consider. Nevertheless, I think this article does a pretty good job of kind of summarizing where people are going. And this is a survey, International Living. Let me just rightfully give them their credit. So Mexico, no surprise. And so cost of living, which is one of the things that people consider. A couple can live well in Mexico for 1,500 to 3,000 a month. Kind of no different than Portugal. I don't know why some people think Europe is way more expensive. Visa options, you can get a temporary resident visa, which some of our members have, or permanent. But what struck me is, damn, the proof of income is high. Mexico's like, look, we might be building a wall against y'all Americans, okay? 2,600 per month. Sheesh. I think I had to demonstrate 849 a month to qualify for my move to Portugal. Okay, Mexico, I see you. Panama, which is, oh my gosh. If you are somebody who's trying to retire or retire early, baby, Panama is for you. Don't sleep on it. I've done a video about it. There are so many wonderful aspects of, and they call it out right here in the Pensionado visa. There's so many things you get like half off. Like you have a pensionado visa, you're good. But you need 2,000 to 4,000 a month to live off of. Uruguay is another one. That's 2,500 for a couple. Presumably, if you're a singleton like myself, throw that number in half. But I say that because it also depends on your standard of living. What works for you? Are you okay with being without appliances, right? That come standard. That's something we're used to in America, not so much abroad. Are you used to having air conditioning? Things like that can always influence these numbers, but it's a guide. Uruguay offers a flexible residency program. So you can have, if you have 1,500, somebody got a pension, you got required minimum distributions, dividends. Think about it. Costa Rica, I know. Y'all know I call it Nosta Rica. I have my own issues with it. But nevertheless, it usually makes the list because you can live the Pura Vida lifestyle. 2,000 to 3,000 a month for a couple. They also have a pensionado program, but something to keep in mind is Costa Rica is quite expensive. You also can use the US dollar. So you really don't have the currency fluctuations, which is something I also shared in the group today because the US dollar is losing ground against other currencies that are much stronger, which impacts somebody like me who has to periodically move money, large sums of money, in order to afford my lifestyle, right? I have money in USD, I have to convert it into euro. Well, the euro is stronger than the dollar. So it's not like, oh, I need 5,000. I'm going to transfer 5,000. It's like, oh, I need 5,000. I have to transfer 5,500 because I've got to convert, I've got to pay the fees, right? So these are things that you need to consider. Another one is Belize. Quite a few people actually have seen in the expat app. Our friend Shar was on here maybe like 2 months ago. And so she's also a speaker at Exodus Summit this year, along with Halisi. So Belize is also another one that's on the list. A couple can live for 2,000 to 3,000 a month. Belize is QRP. Don't know what that is, but it sounds like it's cute. But look, available to those over 45 years of age with proof of 2,000 a month and $2,000 a monthly income. I like that because one of the reasons why, I think that was the end of the article. One of the reasons why I did not move to, okay, one of the reasons why I didn't move to New Zealand was because I was too old for a work visa, too young for a retirement visa. So I was in that kind of weird space. And what attracted me to Portugal was that the retirement visa was not an age-based visa. So as someone who immigrated here at 49, now 50, it was easy for me to, demonstrate that I had enough money to sustain myself, that I wouldn't be a burden on the system. But nobody was like, "Oh, retirement age is 65. You're early, right?" I didn't have that problem. Mm. Thank you, VJ. Qualified Retirement Program. See, I knew it sounded good. And Greta has said Mexico has a RNE program. Winnie, yes, yes, yes. Good for you. I love it. I love it. I love it. Yes. Yes, they did. It's a good list. So I dropped the link in the chat. And for those of you who are in Passport, you already have the link. But again, what usually happens when these articles pop out in the universe, people are like, okay, I'm going to Mexico. I got to get out. I got $5.50 and I want to leave tomorrow. Like, what? Right? Because they think everybody's going there. But if you want to live abroad and stay abroad, you have to think about what you want. I made the decision to move abroad in 2017. I didn't move until 2023. That gave me a lot of time to get clear, to think about where I wanted to go. So I wanted to go to New Zealand. I researched how much I needed to have, and I set a goal to get to that amount. And then obviously, I'm not in New Zealand, right? So things changed. And I also, because I had this platform and these wonderful conversations with empowering and inspiring Black expats, I was able to come up with a new list. And great, I had a list of countries to consider, to date, to do all that stuff. But also, what needed to happen was I needed to get clear on what did I need out of this next country, right? And this way, this list that I'm going to share with you is not the usual fare, like, oh, cost of living and, blah, 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 blah. Like, this is more refined, let's say, right? No particular order. So we're just going to riff. So one of the first things is a lifestyle fit. Like, is the country aligned with what you want for your lifestyle? For me, traveling the world for the past couple years, I realized that I love food diversity. I've been in countries that did not have that. So, for example, Costa Rica, you're going to be eating beans, rice, and plantains. You got to like beans, rice, and plantains. And I do. And I was eating it, and it was delicious. Let me tell you, delicious. But do I want to eat that every day? Like, beans, rice, plantains and eggs for breakfast. And I loved my Tico breakfast. It was quite yummy. But then I want some oatmeal. Sometimes I want pancakes. Sometimes I want other things. I tried to get them to make me a pancake. I didn't know you could go wrong with a pancake, but I learned. I learned. Um, so those are some of the things. When I was recently in the UK, about 2 weeks ago, I was doing a house sit. So for those of you who are looking at lower cost ways of travel, I did a house sit, and I'm a member of Trusted House Sitters. And I'm already looking at my 2025 schedule. So I'm going to pop that in the chat for you. It's also in the link in the description. Oh my goodness. Wait, I just was about to go to my list. My computer's acting a little slow. I just saw your comment, Pinky. What is, oh, wait, no, it's not that one. No, I meant Greta. What? She just got engaged. Did she get engaged to a Maori man? I feel like I need to go to New Zealand. I feel like my if I were to marry, I feel like my next husband's gonna be Maori. Mm. So they could do the haka. Mm. Have you seen the haka? And then the tongue. Anyway, this is not Blacks and Global After Dark. I'm gonna have to stay on topic tonight. Okay. So Pinky said, with all of the constant visa changes for countries I'm interested in, I'm gonna have to seriously consider TEFL. Yes, although I'd rather stay retired. TEFL is a great option. Please don't discount it. And it is a moving process. Literally every year, most countries make some alteration to their visa requirements. I actually saw in the news here yesterday that Portugal is in the process of doing that. They showed like this photo with a bunch of people around the table trying to figure out what the next thing is going to be. But every country does that. So cost of living, what the minimum wage is going to be, a lot of that, those requirements from an income perspective is tracked against that. But, they also have these, new visas, like digital nomad visa was another one that was popping during the pandemic and following the pandemic. But definitely, I would say, actually, I gave an interview yesterday. It's coming up on the Zero to Travel podcast. Shout out to Jason. And he was asking me, about, what advice I would give, what mistakes that I see people make. And one of the things that I said on the show, but I also say it in Passport is try to think of more than one pathway to your end destination, right? For me, I said I was too old for a work visa, too young for a retirement visa, meaning I looked at different pathways. I looked at high skills list. I didn't have anything that was applicable because I didn't use my MSW. So I couldn't do like a skills shortage list. So I only really had two pathways for New Zealand. With Portugal, I could have done retirement. Could have done, if I waited an extra year, could have done um, digital nomad. Could have done a student visa. So I try to tell people to think of multiple pathways with respect to residency. And then as you're starting to think about your finances, it's always good to have a plan B. I'm 50. I'm not 59 and a half. I don't have a pension. I have a sizable retirement account, but I also can't touch it, right? So if there were a time where I needed to tap into money and my reserves were getting lower than I'm comfortable with, I could always consult. I could always do something. But I look at it like this. It's not a today problem. So while it is a good thing to like have a plan B so you're ready, right? I say stay ready so you don't have to get ready. Don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. You have to leave space. Leave space. Okay. So I'm going back to wait, I'm gonna close this window. Okay. So food diversity. When I was in the UK, English breakfast is like baked beans and some other nasty. I should say nasty. That's their cuisine. It's baked beans and eggs, and I don't even know. Maybe they had eggs. I don't know, but I don't like English breakfast. And I learned that when I went to Curacao in 2018, I want to say. And they had English breakfast at the resort I was staying in. And that was my first exposure. And I was like, oh gosh. And then I went in 2022 to London. I didn't pay attention because I didn't, I was with my daughter. So she wasn't trying to eat no English breakfast. I think we ate McDonald's or something, right? But this time I was there for like 4 or 5 days and I was like, ooh, fish and chips and English breakfast. That's it. And y'all don't season your food. Mm. It was not. It was not. It was not. Wait, Pinky. What? Is he single? I need to know. I need to know. Is he fine? Is he single? Because he already like got one big check being Maori. Whew. Anyway, focus, Krishan, focus. That would make me go anyway. Um, so that was one of the things, right? Like food diversity. I also realized when I went to New Zealand has the best wines in the world. I'm gonna say it, in the world. When I go, every time I go, I do vineyard tours. I have my favorite vineyard. I drove 5 hours the last time I was there just to get 2 bottles. Um, and I love it. I love it. And that was a trip that made me realize how much I did love wineries. And now that I live in Portugal, we have some amazing wines. I've been to some of the beautiful vineyards in Alentejo. I look forward to going to some in the Douro Valley. But for me, I realized the country that I'm moving to should have some really good wines because that is now part of my lifestyle. And thankfully, like, gosh, not to digress, but I can drink wine and not get messed up. But if you put me in America and I drink that stuff, I don't know what they put in the wine. Maybe like what they do to food. They put some chemicals, preservatives, something. It just messes me up. But lifestyle fit is really important because you don't need to be following the herd, right? Like you are a person. Where are you going to spend your time and how are you going to spend your time, right? So I like the fact that I can fly to other countries, 2 hours to France. Yeah, France is 2 hours. UK is 2 hours. Spain is like an hour. Morocco is like an hour and a half. Or drive, right? 2.5 hours to the border of Spain. If you're going south, you can go to Sevilla. It was about 4 hours. So I like the ability as a traveler to be able to go to different countries. Sometimes I just want to check it out. And I feel even with 18, no, 19 countries, I think 19 under my belt, I'm still in the early stages of my travel journey. And so I still want to put up some points. I can't say get passport stamps because I read it. They were doing away with the stamps. It's breaking my heart, especially since I got the big book this time when I renewed my passport. But that number three, it goes back to what I was saying about the Maori men. What's the dating situation going to be like, right? If you are a singleton like myself, not only what's the pool of potentials, so age, right? Marital status. Are there singletons? Are most people partnered? Are there's arranged marriages? Who knows, right? But with that, what are the salaries? The salaries in Portugal are quite low. So I know I am in a different socioeconomic status. Not to say every person makes minimum wage. I'm not saying that. There's some very wealthy people here. Gosh. That said, when you're looking at potential dates, are you going to find more people in a capacity than a different socioeconomic capacity than you enjoyed in your home country? Um, and so just thinking about those expectations. The other thing is divorce. If you've come to a country and you're partnered and things don't work out, which it could, right? I'm someone who's divorced, but I divorced in my own country. What happens if your relationship ends? Not last season, 2 seasons ago on the Global podcast, I had a guest, Jules Chambers, right? All Things Iceland, who talked about the fact that she had just recently gotten a divorce and how the rules around that were different in Iceland. So sometimes there's a wait period. There might be other complexities. So these are things that you need to think of. Again, don't follow the herd. Uh, your physical ability and the physical terrain of the country that you're considering? Because I'm tired of people coming to Portugal and complaining about these hills. Do your Googles, okay? Lisbon is literally a city that is on 7 hills. It's a Google, right? Don't come here and just be like, oh, wow, right? Because just because what you see is like, oh, a lot of black people are moving to one place, that might not be the country for you. That might not be the country for you. It might not be the place. And also have your own expectations, right? You have to unpack it and know what what you like. I'm trying to multitask here. Uh, hey Michelle, how you doing? Um, wow, that's fantastic. That is very cool. That's what I'm saying. English prep. It's trash. It is trash. Oh, he's not single. It's okay though. Maybe he has a friend that's single. I love New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc. Ooh, baby, honey. Whenever I see a New Zealand wine, and my kids know, like I see New Zealand wine on the menu, done. I also have that reaction. There was this one, well, not as strong. Definitely New Zealand wine, Portugal wine on the menu. I'd be like, done, right? But I live in Portugal now. And our wines, get a great bottle of wine for sometimes under €2. Ooh, baby. Um, but my liver is intact. Um, it was this Argentinian wine years ago. I can still remember that. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. I love y'all playing matchmaker. I love it. I love it. Because I've decided, this year, and I mean, more like not calendar year, like time, year in time. So, like by this time next year, I'm going to be booed up. I am. I'm going to be intentional. It's something I've avoided for over a decade, actually. But I'm going to be intentional about it. Yes. Um, PI said, what advice would you give someone who knows what they want, that they want to move abroad, but not know where yet? I would say getting community, two things, getting community, but, and not a but, also get clear on what you want. And this list is going to help you do that. Yes, you can think about cost of living. Obviously, that's a tremendous thing. Um, Proximity is another. But again, this list is to dig a little deeper into the more meaningful ways that's going to help you determine which countries are best for you, right? It's not about where everybody else is going to. It's not about seeing an article and being reactive, or, what happens in the States a lot is police aggression, some other incident, a violent act, and then this knee jerk reaction. I want you all to be ready, right? I want you all to be free, regardless of whether or not Kamala Harris and Tim Walz win this election. It's possible that some shit's going to happen, right? Somebody's not going to be happy. And if 45 wins, we ain't going to be happy, right? So either way, I'm not wishing it on y'all. I'm not wishing it on the country, right? But we also did not see January 6th happening, and yet it did. So what I'm saying is be ready. Have your game plan. Have your game plan. So that's what I would say. Great question. Great question. So yeah, I was talking about the terrain of a country. That's important, right? If you, there are some countries that are landlocked, right? And either have a man-made body of water. Water to me is important, but also too, like, what is the terrain? Or is it a country that's prone to hurricanes, monsoons, tsunamis? Other things that you, like I said, this list is not just the usual standard fare that you need to consider. Obviously, I read this morning in the States, they're preparing for a hurricane that's going up Florida. Thankfully, not in the area where my family is, but it could be something that impacts somebody you love, right? And so my heart goes out to those that are preparing for this hurricane, right? But those are some of the things that you have to consider. Another reason why we should not follow the herd is everybody has a different tax situation and income situation, right? So, do you want to be in a country that may tax your money at 40%, 50%, whether you're working, some countries do, or not, right? So those are things that you have to think about. And I encourage you to reach out to tax professionals. Some people want to do the whole DIY thing, and, I'm okay with that. But at some point, you should put money down and, excuse me, talk to an expert, because crowdsourcing information on something as important as taxes is not something I don't like surprises that way. Because Uncle Sam don't play and his reach is deep. Because guess what? Even though you're abroad, you still have to file taxes. If you're an American citizen, don't think you just gonna go and they can't get you. They can. They have. They will. And when they do, the penalties are obscene. Obscene. It'll make you wish you never left. Okay. Other one is end of life care, right? So none of us came here to stay. I hope nobody was thinking they was going to stay. Right? Nobody came into this world with intent to stay forever, right? We're not vampires. So what are the things about end of life? Is it a country that is open to assisted suicide? Is it a country that, how do they treat their elderly? Do they have a lot of retirement homes, retirement communities? Do the people that they love near and dear take care of them? Is it something where you can age in place? So what does that look like? Additionally, what are the inheritance laws? And so if you pass on and you're abroad, what implication does that have for your loved ones that may be located in another country? Not just for the purposes of maybe getting your personal effects or closing up your business, but should they inherit anything in the country that you're residing in, how is that going to be treated, potentially even from a tax perspective, in their home country, your former home country, right? Your home country. Yeah, keep it clean. Your home country, right? those are things that you need to consider, right? Because if for some reason there's going to be a tax burden with them inheriting property, large sums of money, etc., that sits in one country or currency and changing that to another, you may want to maybe leave some part of your estate that will, help them lessen the burden from a financial perspective, or have a trusted professional as part of your will and estate planning that they can go to help navigate that. Because while you might have been living your best life in this country, wherever you are, for a period of time, and you kind of have learned how to navigate it as best you can as a foreigner, your family members are coming in cold. At best, they come to see you once in a while for a short period of time. They're not going to know how to navigate that. So, to the extent that you can think about these things in advance, I think that also helps you find a country that best suits you and your needs. Hey, Yoga Bliss Dance. Yes, the where should I move? Yep. Yeah. It's like, where should I move? Tell me where I'm supposed to go. I don't know you. Right? You're not even using your real name. And you want me to tell you where to go. Hmm. I don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it. So Pinky said, I was concerned about how Portugal would tax my government pension. Turned out it's a non-issue for me until I'm both a resident and have a Portuguese passport, which you can't get until you're a citizen. Exactly. So that is a great example of sometimes people find and hold on to a tidbit and they're like, oh, can't go to this country because they tax, I'm just using tax as an example, tax, my money at whatever, 48%. And it's like, well, is there a tax treaty, first and foremost? Is there a special treatment regime? Like I have NHR here. And all sources of income are not created equal. So, how is your income mix? And then again, always try to seek the competent counsel of a tax professional in this instance where I'm talking about tax. Okay. Yes, you do. Yes. Yes, because my body is a changing. I got some results this week and I was like, Lord Jesus. Hey, another one of my study buddies. Welcome. Yes, 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 yes. Because things change. Things change. Um Hey, Karen Louise is in the house. Yes, I'm speaking it into existence because I have been one of those not right. Don't even come near me, right? But uh no, I've worked through a lot of things. I've worked through a lot of things. Yes, another one is earthquakes. Where are the tectonic plates? How often do they occur? And one thing to say about the earthquakes, because I've been seeing it in some of the groups as it relates to Portugal's recent earthquake, I barely felt it. This is a pretty sturdy building considering it's brand new. But this might be new news to some, but there's a thing called Earth. It's a planet in the solar system. And another thing called gravity. And because we're on this floating rock, right? there's things that happen to it, right? In the center of it is some hot ass shit lava, right? People don't walk around worrying about lava pools coming out and burning the shit out of their asses, but for some reason they worry about earthquakes. It's okay. It's a floating rock. There's movement. It has to move, right? It's rotating every day, right? Every day you get up, it's because the earth spun and boop, right? So, yes, there is research that you can do. You can look and see. There's earthquakes all the time, like every day. I probably, if I open up my earthquake app, now that I know there's an app for that, Portugal probably had like two or three today, 1 point some, 2.3. The earth is always moving. There's always some tremors. But, how significant? That's something that you want to consider. Portugal had a really, really significant earthquake in the 1700s. And since then, they have built their buildings to withstand a certain amount of force, right? And so that gives me peace of mind as it relates to earthquakes. But I don't worry about that. I actually felt this earthquake was higher, right, on the Richter scale than anything I had experienced in the US. But even with the smaller magnitude quakes in the US, I felt them a whole lot more. So there's my spiel on that. Okay, where am I at? Oops, why did I go away? It looks like I went away. I think you guys are still seeing me, but it went away here. Let me know if you don't see me anymore. Healthcare. So usually when people think about moving abroad, they talk about cost of living, healthcare, taxes. And like I said, I'm not saying we're not going to talk about those things. I just want you to consider other things. So with respect to healthcare, the quality of care, the cost of care. Like I just settled my medical bills because I forgot to pay a couple of them. I've just been so busy. And I was like, oh, yeah, I had this bill from July. I forgot to pay it. And then I went and got some work, some x-rays done. And I was like, okay, today's the day, right? Because I need to pay like all these bills, which came up to like, I think it was 100 for like 4 bills. But I was like, oh, I don't have to worry about balance billing. It's not like the US where you like pay at the time of service and then, a week later or 3 months later, it's like, surprise, surprise, you owe us 10,000. And it's like, wait, what the? Teesh. Anyway, but not just about the access to care, right? Or do they have insurance? Things like that, right? I think that's pretty much standard fare. But what I see mistakes that people make is they like, oh, well, there's free healthcare. Well, there's a public system here and a private system. I pay for private insurance. I have not paid into the public system. Obviously, if I needed to use the public system, it's there for me, but I don't need to use the public system. I don't need to be a drain on society. Like, I'm good. Y'all let me in. That's it. That's all I needed from you. But what I mean is, if you have a particular healthcare need, if you have a particular disease state, and you have certain medications or treatments, those are the things that you need to question and find out with a degree of certainty. Don't leave it up to chance thinking that, oh, in America, I can get this, infusion therapy that, blah, 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 blah. It'll be free over there. You don't know that to be true. And don't go crowdsourcing that damn information. Get That's where scouting trips and stuff like that come into play, right? I remember in our second cohort where we had our session and we had a healthcare seminar, and one of our particular guests had a certain life condition and asked that specific question, like, okay, this is what I take, this is the exact thing, do they have this here, and is it covered, or how much does it cost? She got that answer, she was done. That's all she needed to know, right? Because that was like, oh, peace of mind. But sometimes people have these like complicated health conditions because, it's America. So most things there are making us sick. So most people have comorbidities, they have more than one thing. And you want to understand if you're going to have the access to these specialty doctors, do they have the right treatments for you? Um, is the course of treatment that you are on in your home country, is that the standard of treatment in your new country that you're considering, or are they on a different standard protocol? They might have the same disease state, right? That like, oh, we treat this, we treat this, okay, it's the same disease state, but how they treat that disease state could vary. And so those are the things that you need to think about, as well as, are you going to, sometimes I see people that want to go into these more remote communities, which I'm all for sustainability. But the thing that you also need to think about is, okay, if you're going to be out in the boonies, right? Do you have a car? What's the nearest trauma center if there's something that is unfortunate that happens? So these are kind of some of the things that you need to think about. The other thing for those that have littles, um, schools, right? What are schools like? Do you want your children to learn another language? What are the teachers like? What's the quality of the education? What's the interaction with the children? If you want to do an international school, are you okay with your child being with, children that speak multiple languages, right? So these are some of the things that you need to consider. And some of the things that I've mentioned here are things that we're going to dive into during the Move to Portugal Virtual Summit. Bureaucracy. I had to deal with that, baby. 205 days for my residency card. Bureaucracy, right? So, how are you with bureaucracy? Are you okay with things being slower than what you're used to in your home country? How are you at navigating that, particularly if you're in a country that your native language isn't spoken? I know most of the people that are watching this live are English speakers, but not all. So I just want to make sure that I'm saying this in a way that's applicable, right? If your native tongue is different than the country that you're considering, that's something that you have to think through, right? Um, so, how are you going to navigate bureaucracy? Do you have the ability to use devices like apps? Sometimes in certain places, you're not allowed to use a phone. So, how do you navigate those situations? Do you have trusted people that can help you? I was looking at some real estate options recently and had, a learning of how the process is vastly different than what I'm used to in America. And again, another topic that we're going to be covering at the Move to Portugal Virtual Summit. Um, yes, this is also a true statement. Yeah, some countries don't offer private insurance when, excuse me, when you're past a certain age, or have limited options, right? When you're at a certain age, you may have a pool of 3 to 4 insurers. But once you get to the 70 plus range, if you are so blessed, you may have one provider. Doesn't mean that one provider is a bad provider or a bad option. It just means your pool has changed, right? And again, pre-existing conditions, you want to think about that. And like kind of like an asterisk to that is how are you going to navigate healthcare when you go back to your home country, particularly if your home country is the United States, which again, $5,000 for a paper cut. Right? Yes, I pay out of pocket for the dentist. Um, most well, with the exception of like things like X-rays and all that stuff, I have my health insurance, but I pay out of pocket for dental. And then lastly, another one to consider is the political climate, right? I know. And notice I didn't say safety, right? 'Cause safety is relative. Some people don't have a problem with safety, or their perception of safety is different, right? So we're just going to talk about political climate. What is the political landscape? In most, I'd probably say most countries, although I haven't lived in most countries. I've only lived in one outside of my home country. But what I'm learning is that other countries oftentimes have more than one political party. I can't profess to know all of them here. Um, I choose to be a little ignorant with it when it comes to that right now because I'm digesting a lot. So, not to say it's going to be forever, but for right now, I'm taking a break from it. But how is the country that you're considering moving to viewed by the rest of the world, right? Is this a country that is potentially in a hot spot, right? Might be a hot place to move to, but is it like on the radar or is it in one of those places where some shit might pop off? And then what's your plan, right? So, how's your country that you're considering viewed by the rest of the world? What are, if any, trade agreements that may alter your life there? Meaning, is this, one of the things that's been coming up quite often in the US news is tariffs as it relates to imported goods, which a lot of imported goods in America because nothing's manufactured there. But, this kind of bullshit posturing with trying to put on these trade agreements with China. And you do that, electronics, pretty much everything is just going to shoot through the roof, right? Which is fine for billionaire companies and CEOs and things like that, but not so much for the everyday person. But what are the trade agreements? What are some of the kind of like political agreements, like a NATO or coalitions like a BRIC? Like, what are those things that you need to consider? And because it may impact you, right? And so these are the things that are more, like I said, nuanced than I'm ready to leave the country. Help me pick one, right? And that is what I think helps people find the country that's best for them versus following the herd. So I did that in an hour, and that was my goal. Um, yeah, Italy has some beautiful, very low cost houses. Sometimes people react to those things like that. Oh my gosh, Italy's giving away cheap homes for like 10 euro. Yeah, and you out in the sticks and you don't know how to you don't know how to speak Italian. Uh yeah. So, like I said, I think there are ways to be more intentional and thoughtful as it relates to your move abroad because if you approach it from that perspective, you have a higher chance of success, right? Not just getting to where you want to be, but staying where you want to be. So that is what I will leave you with. I don't see any more questions, more so comments, and y'all talking amongst yourselves, which I love. All right, I'm gonna just do one quick looky, but I don't think y'all have any questions for me. I think I did it. I think my job here is done. All right, so it is 11:34 p.m. my time. So that's probably what 6:34 for those of you who are on the East Coast. All right, so I'm going to be tootling off right now. Next week, I will be back with a special guest. So hopefully you can tune in for that. Should I give away her country? No, I'm not going to give away her country. I'm going to keep you in suspense. All right. Hope you're going to be well, be safe, be well. And tune in next week. Ciao, ciao for now.